Good afternoon, everyone. As you are today, we are going to present you some curious facts about Russia. Rus may be derived from the name of a triumphant political descent in Kiev and other Slavic metropolises, and Land is the name to language, culture, and state. We are going with the journalist Sebastian Selake, whose company is all from Moscow and is going to tell us a little about the geography of the country certain with Sebastian.
Yes, Miss Luna, who I am in Moscow, and in which we are very faithful to say the uses in our newscast cover 6 million square, starting from its borders with Finland, Estonia, Latvia, Belarus, and Ukraine, west to Bering Strait. Next, I will leave you with my partner Nicolas Perdomo, where he is located in Kansan, that he is going to tell about our language.
Hello, Sebastian and Luna. Who are you? As my friend said, I am going to tell you a little about our language. It is the most widely spoken Slavic language, with 1.39 individuals speaking it as their mother tongue and tens of millions more use it as a second language. That is not the only things we are going with my parent Santiago, who is going to tell of many interesting things.
Hello everyone, how are you? I am in St. Petersburg. Today I have a topic that we cannot say very well. Bye. With or wrestling with you. Russia has had a millennium history of the rise and the fall, political consolidation and disintegration, representation and reflection, mission and self-determination, and different forms of socioeconomic interesting field of the nation. Luna, you are going to tell us about class and the caste.
Yes, sir, the cases and the castes. From centuries, the aristocratic and mercantile classes were almost like Castilians, with almost marriage and to marriage and higgle, codific and birthplace. We are currently with the series such as Amara that is Sebastian, Tosmox is Nicolas, and Santiago is Pern.
If I meet the moon here with the sun that is falling at 9 o'clock in the morning, and the topic that I am going to tell you is very interesting. I am going to tell to you about social comfort, which is the general collapse of social comfort system. Global lending agencies like the IMF have loved Russia.
Some celebration in our country television show special programs dedicated to the lady, feminine and feminine virtual, May Day or Labor Day, May 1, Russia Day, June 20, marks the fall of the Soviet Alliance in 1991 and factory parades and fireworks.
I love art. Art in the cause and crowd. They solve, they and the processing and the proof to the artists in the literature, art and the and sound. Weird, pretty as miss, by which political avion code traced.
I from the literature of our country is epic Christian ballads, agriculture songs, laments, and tales dating from early that the 10th century were first recorded during the 17th century.
I end up with performing art, which are very important. Performing art brings together attitudes like high culture, hypnotic music, opera, ballet, and theater, and established manner from gypsy balance to folk choice. rock tuners and rabbis. The dance and melodic show were subsidized by the state. So the tickets were subsidized chips and the I was quite here.
This is all for today. See you on tonight's broadcast. This is all for today. See you on tonight's broadcast.
Identification Rouge may be derived from the name of a tribe that gained political ancestry. Cities and Slavs lend their names to a language, culture, and state. People ethnically identified as Russian have been politically and culturally dominant in a vast area for years. Despite the repression of the cultural autonomy, cultures have survived within the Russian Federation, including the peoples of the North Caucasus, numerous indigenous groups in Siberia. The state shaped and controlled daily life. Much of that experience is being recollected by Russians and non-Russians, who are recovering in or reinventing their traditional past. Many communities are as
Geography. In addition to being the largest, Russia is one of the northernmost countries. Russia is located on two continents, in Europe and Asia, and border 19 countries. The most populated region is located Ukraine, Belarus border, and the Ural Mountains. 78% of the population live in this area. Two large industrial cities are located about the Arctic Circle.
And is one of the three Slavic languages of the Slavic branch of the Indo-European language family. It is the most widely spoken Slavic language, with 1.31 million people speaking it as their mother tongue and tens of million more using it as second language. Many people from non-Russian ethnic groups speak Russian as their mother tongue or only. The collapse of the Soviet Union paved the way for language revival movements in many ethnic communities.
Russia had had a millennium history of rise and fall, political consolidation, integration, repression, and realization, manifestation and self-definition, and various for own socioeconomic interdependence with other nations. This story had had far-reaching effects on the entire population of Eurasia, as well as on all points for natural course. The Slavic teams and other people of Russia had deeply influenced and were influenced by often in terms of business, technology, language, beliefs, politics, and arts.
Classes and castes. Peasants migrated to factories in urban areas. The strike led to the 1905 revolution, which brought with a constitutional and social reform. The First World War of 1917, the government was overthrown. This was followed by the political revolution of 1917, in which the Bolsheviks, in the Civil War of 1970 to 1921, the merchants and peasants were murdered.
Program Soviet paternalism has given way to a weak welfare state. Soviet citizens were guaranteed free schooling, free comprehensive medical care, housing, maternity leave, and annual vacation, and there was an extensive system of pensions and special allowance for retired invalids and war veterans. Although the level of access to social benefits was not uniform, the basic needs of most citizens were met and people were satisfied with the service they received.
Food arts are ancient and varied. Animal, print, plant, solar, and goodness motifs add a palette of golden, red, and yellow, with stoker of black and green fabric. Bipassant artists are prevalent in a variant of with notes are mediate, especially in print worn objects and embryos textiles. There have been various precedents of decline and revitalization as eminent expressions were referenced under crystallization a thousand years ago and then under
National Women's Day on March 8, which celebrates the contribution and the role of women in social life, is a day of from work. Men bring flowers to the women in their lives or call or send cards to congratulate friends, wives, and relatives. The Day of International Labor Solidarity, previously marked with birthdays, is now an occasion to celebrate the arrival of spring. Victory Day on May 9 commemorates the Soviet capture of Berlin and the end of World War II. This holiday is
Support for the arts. The Soviet government facilitated state support for the arts because literature, art, theater, and music were perceived as means through which the political ideologies could be transmitted. They provide monetary support and social service while monitoring and guiding after creative 1991 federal funding was slashed just as artists were experiencing creative freedom for the first time. While private publishers, galleries, and theaters have appeared, audiences have turned away from art to enjoy detective, romance, adventure, and horror.
May derive from the name of a tribe that gained political ascendancy in Cape and others claimed to know and its name to language, culture, and state. Many communications are steering at a specific location, identified in terms of language and culture.
Geography, in addition to being the largest, the Russian Federation is one of the world's northern most the countries. European Russia, the most densely populated, urbanized, and industrialized region, lies between the Ukraine-Belarus border and the Ural Mountains. Two large industrial cities are located above the Arctic. Murmansk on the Kola Peninsula and Norilsk Siberia.
Linguistic affiliation. Russian is one of the three Slavic languages of the Slavic branch of the Indo-European language family. Is the most when spoken Slavic language of the people speak is and their mother tongue. Indian Russian of the mother tongue of the Soviet language. In the part due the Soviet movement to suppress Minion language.
Identity. Russia has had a 1,000-year history of growth and contraction, political consolidation, disintegration, repression, and relaxation, messianism, self-definition, and varying forms of socioeconomic interdependence with other nations, situated at the crossroads of important cultures and civilization in an direction. The Slavic groups and the other peoples of Russia so have profoundly influenced and been influenced by all of them in terms of trade, technology, language, religion, politics, and the arts.
Aristocratic is almost like the castle, but is strict social hierarchy and strict behavior. Farmers and settlers made up the rural population with this slow development of the region. Farmers movement
Child welfare and the change programs although the level of it too. Social provision was not uniform. Multi-sense basic needs were met and the people were largely satisfied with the service they received. The result is the overall coupling of social welfare system. Governments of officials have the lies is dismantling the welfare satisfied social reason and the widely will video that the people should be protected from so
International Women's Day on 8 March may bring flowers to the women in their lives. May Day or Labor Day, the day of International Labor Solidarity. The day of Victor on 9 May commemorated the Soviet capture of Berlin and the end of World War II. The day of Russia on 12 June marked independence from the Soviet Union. This party of last throughout the night.
support for the arts. The Soviet government provided state support for the arts because literary, art, and music were perceived and its means through with political ideologies called of the transmitted. So the state monitored the production of the arts through organizations such as the Union of Composers and the Union and Monitoring, and with creating production. Popular culture has enjoyed a renaissance and artists are struggling to support remains.
Russia has always been primarily an oral culture in which a wide range of folkloric genres and tradition has flourished and provided the primarily from on entertainment. Folk arts are ancient and varied: animal, bird, plant, soul, and goods motifs, and a planet of red and golden yellows, with traces of black and green furrowed by peasants. Artists prevail across a range of folk art, particularly in painting, wooden objects, and embroidered textiles.
support of the arts. The Soviet government support of the literature, arts, theaters, and music was seen of the means of express political ideology. The state promised as artists creation the organization like the Union of Composers and waiters that provide monetary support on the social service.
My name is Valentina Spitia. I'm going to talk about the country of Russia. European Russia, the most densely populated urban and industrial region between the Ukraine-Belarus border of the Ural Mountains. 78% of the population live in the area. Two large industrial cities are located above the Arctic Circle. Most of the coal person and Nordic in Siberia. Language village. Russia is one of three Slavic languages of the Slavic branch of the Indo-European linguistic ability. Russia is of the three Slavic languages of the Slavic branch of the Indo-European language family. It is the most widely spoken Slavic language with 1.39 million people speaking it as their native language of millions more. Russian is a second language. Many people in Russia steppe groups speak in Russia as their native or only language, partly as the result of strikes and Soviet company to supreme minority language to collapse of the Soviet Union opened the way for linguistic review moments and many ethnic communities. They are immeasurable villages, northern, south, and central, but they mutually intelligible. Russia has been influenced by outer languages, particularly Greek, Viziati, Christian, in the Kiev Perlo, spread in the 18th and 19th centuries, and English in the 29th. National identity. Russia has had a 1,000-year history of growth and contrasting of political identity. Russia has had a 1,000-year history of growth and contrasting political consolidation and integration, respect and reflection may seem at self-evident and varying for of socio-economic interdependence with of nation. This history has had varying effects on the outer population of Eurasia as well as on every aspect of the national culture. For many cultures, the question of either Russia culture is more Eastern or Western. It has buried its history and the crossroads of import cultures and civilizations is very direct. The Slavic groups and other people of Russia have profoundly influenced and been influenced between ideas of trade, technology, language, religion, politics, of art, class, cause, and codes. For centuries, the aristocratic and merged class like with endogrammos marriage, a strict social hierarchy and highly copied behaviors. Parents and serf constitute a largely impoverished rural population after imposition in 1861 a Russia developed lowland capital lines, pedants prepared to factories in urban areas, with they formed and traversed industry, working class speaking and process and the reaction of the intelligence led to the revolution of 1905, which program brought the limited construction and social reform along which the spread destitution terrorists was the work in an indefinite political leadership. The seat a state for the revolution activity of February 1917, in which the governor was overthrown. This war followed by the political revolution of October 1917, in which the Bolsheviks took power and introduced communities in the logic and social transformation in civil war, and 1917 is 1921. And under style entre 1930, aristocrat Americans a will of facing were held in prison, exiled, or forced to emigrate, and their property was confiscated. The Soviet Union was sold to the ruin because Soviets formed into working men the creative of social and economic equality, where the wall of relief comings in the laws homeward. Soviet evolved in class stratification and class conscious state with communities, elites and some professional and special and to go service and housing, variety works and shop creatings use of services or goods to benefit selections through and set ratings can now is black homework, education, helping care of their social service with a valued style. Secular celebration. International Women's Day of 8 de marzo celebrating the constructions around as women in life is legal holiday and day off from work. Men bring flowers to women is their life occur or send cards. New Year Eve is the most likely celebrated secular holiday. Grandfather for and his help is now maiden late gifts under and decorate New Year tree. And people gather to await minute with laughter, some feasting and vodka and champagne. These cheesy packets of the last strong Danish. Support for on the arts. State support for the arts was provided by the Soviet government because literature and theater and music were perceived as media through retail politics. Ideas which could be covered. The state nurtured the product of the arts through organizations such as the Compost Union as the Winter Union, which provide monetary support and social services with more monitoring and with the creative output after 1991. Federal Fundió diminished creative, whose artistic with expressing creative freedom for the first time were private public house, galleries and the church have applied. The public has turned away. For this, to enjoy detective romance, aventura, and horror novels and films. Popular culture has enjoyed a renaissance of artists strong to support semblances. Literature. Russia has well been primary and oral culture in which a wide range of folkloric genres and traditions have flourished and primary for entertainment, primary for entertainment, pre-Christian, epic ballads, agriculture songs, lands, and tales dating back to before the 10th century we record. For the first time is the 7th century for tales at epic points carried by Edenton story teachers, readings, jokers, and breakfast games were popular in very Egypt and three ways abroad a spectrum of folk poetry from sacred record verse to rival cities months creators incorporate folkloric trends and hence in the world and folk is each with a canon and chart. Graphic arts for arts are ancient and varied. Animals, birds, solar and goddess models, and all palette or predicts and golden euros with frames of black and green forever be paints artists prevail across range of media particularly in paint, wonderful objects and embroidered textiles. There have been several periods of design and realization and animal expression. They represent under Christianization of 1,000 years out and then under the Soviet regime. If Balkans based artists change the code to accord which the dormi in the logic Soviet state. From study kept money for many alike, and the post-social period has seen independent classifiers return to trajectory cryptologic morphic sound and of the series a beer which a woman had at breaths. Soviet state. From study kept money for many alike, and the post-social period has seen independent classifiers return to trajectory cryptologic morphic sound and of the series a beer which a woman had at breaths. Performance arts. The performing art including those in cultural, symphonic music, opera, ballet, and theater, and the popular forms spoken, everything from gypsy, ballads to frog crows, rock music to raves. In the first category are composed in the 19th and 20th centuries such as Piotr Tchaikovsky, Modest Mussorgsky, Nikolai Rins, Koratsa, Rachmaninoff, Sergei Prokofiev, Igor Savalievsky, and Dmitry Sokoviev. Opera Great Zoo of Fedor, Charlapient, Tiberius Sposarai, Sergei Diaghilev, and the dancer Lava Nitsky, Anna Palora, Rudolf Nureyev, and Kitkai Rapikon, and the clip producer and actor teacher Konstantin Stanislavski. Rudyard are performs many at music, at dance, classic music, a dance performance with Slayer. Subjects, substance, techniques with reality in expressions and advances was very hit balance and objections read every in remote regions in an atopic bring culture to the maze. The lack of appreciation for an amateur performance of music remains.
This is not a test. This is your emergency broadcast system.
Welcome, brothers. This is a statement from the government of Russia,
and we will unmask all the truth.
This is not a test.
Identification rules made for the name of a trip that can name pollution as in Daisy in a cave and others. Splitting toes and delay its name to the language, culture and state. Some scholars believe this to have been a very clan for Scandinavia, and the others hold that it has Cyrillic tribe. Some historians believe that Rus there is for the ancient name for the Volga River.
People ethnically identified as Russians have been politically and culturally dominant in a vast area for 500 years of Tsarist and Soviet imperial expansion. However, despite repression of their cultural autonomy, minority cultures have survived within the Russian Federation, including the peoples of the North Caucasus, the East Slavic Ukrainians, and Belarusians. Performance arts. The performing arts include dance and high culture, symphonic music, opera, ballet, and theater, and the popular forms encompassing everything from gypsy, ballads to folk choruses, rock, music to raves in the first category, and the composers of 19th and 20th centuries, such as Piotr Tchaikovsky, Modest Mussorgsky, Nikolai Rimsky-Korsakov, Ray J. Rachmaninoff, Sergei Prokofiev, Igor Stravinsky, and Dmitry Shostakovich. Opera greats such as Fyodor Chaliapin, the ballet impresario Sergei.
Graphic arts. Folk art are inside and varied animal, birds, plant, solar, and government motifs, and a palette of a red and golden yellows with a trance or black and green, formed by a peasant artist
Russia. People ethnically identified as Russian have been politically and culturally dominant in was for 100 years of stories and so with imperial expansion. Halbut de Georges Sanchez, a Soviet cultural experience in the Communist Party rural the state shaped and controlled daily life social practice. Much of that experience is being held by Russians. Geography. In addition to Beijing, the last girls, the Russian Federation is one of the world's northernmost countries. Linguist affiliation. Russia is one of three large Slavic languages of the Slavic world of the European languages. People speaking it as their native language and tens of millions more using it as a second language. Class and caste. For centuries, the aristocratic merchant class were nearly caste-like, with endogamous marriage a strict social hierarchy. We spread destitution, the Reuters of World War I, and ineptity political leadership set the stage for the revolution activity of February 1917, in which the government was overthrown. Support for the arts. State support for the arts was provided by the Soviet government because literature, art, and music were perceived as media through which political ideologies could be combated. Graphic arts, gorse arts are ancient and varied. Animal, bird, plant, clay, and goods, mice, and a palette red and golden yellow with traces of black and green, favored by peasant artists prevail across a region of art media, particularly in
That's all, folks.